Okay, cool. Thanks everybody for joining. So the topic for today is which AI tool should you use? I've spent hundreds of hours testing all of these different AI tools, everything from their web app, their desktop app, API usage, and I get this question all the time. Sabrina, which tool should I actually pay for in 2026? Which one is worth it? And honestly, it's super confusing because it changes every single year. Some models become way better than others. Some models become worse. I'm looking at you, ChatGPT. And depending on your use case, is it technical? Is it coding? Is it brainstorming? Is it image or video generation? Depending on your use case, I would have different recommendations, right? So if you have a limited budget, you can't just pay for every single AI tool out there, or you do pay for every single AI tool, but you still don't know which one to use for which use case. This is the video for you. Okay, so we're going to be talking about all of these different models and the pros and cons of each one. And by the end of this session, you'll have a very clear list for each model. This is exactly what it's best at. So depending on your use case internally, you can be like, okay, well, that's my use case. So that's the model I'm going to pay for. But the first thing that I wanted to start with is I wanted to address like the stress that a lot of people are feeling. I've noticed a lot of people ask me questions like, I don't know which AI tool to use. I don't know if I'm using the right AI tool. I don't know if I'm missing out by not using this other AI tool. There's just like a lot of stress. And honestly, it's because content creators like me basically have clickbait hooks that you shouldn't listen to. Okay. Like you're not falling behind. You're doing completely fine in life. Don't take the hook of any video or any piece of content you see that seriously. It's true the AI space is moving quickly, but if you're listening to this live stream, you're already ahead of 99.99% of people out there because nobody in real life actually listens to an AI live stream on a Friday night. So just feel good about yourself. Don't stress out. There's no one right way to learn AI. Okay, so a lot of people are like, "What is the right tool to use? What is the right prompt to use? What is the right AI model to use?" And like, honestly, a lot of the stress comes from this framing and perspective. There's nothing that is right all the time or right for everyone. I just want you all to know that. I switch between tools all the time. I'm not in particular loyal to any tool. Like, if I need something done and the current tool I'm using is not doing a very good job, then I'm going to go look for another tool that does a better job. And honestly, that's all there is to it, right? So it's just about what is the right tool just for your particular context. But even if you choose the wrong tool, it doesn't matter as long as it gets the job done, as long as you're learning something, as long as you're enjoying the process. So I just wanted to address this because I don't want people to feel stressed when I talk about you should use this tool for that. I'm just giving my recommendations based on what I currently use the tools for and what I've seen them work well for. But like if you have already paid for Perplexity and you can't afford Claude Code, it's okay. You can still do a lot with Perplexity. You can still make $1 million with just Perplexity, believe it or not. So don't stress out about it. In this video, in this session, I'm just going to talk about the different AI tools and what I find them to be good at, what I find them to be weak at, etc. Okay, so here are all the AI tools that we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about Perplexity, Deepseek, Claude, Grok, Gemini, and ChatGPT. Obviously, there are other AI tools out there like Meta. We're just not even going to talk about that one. That one is not worth using. There's other open source ones like Quen, also great, but for most people probably watching this, especially if you're newer to AI, these are probably the AI models you've heard of, and you're probably confused like which one should you use for which situation. So yeah, Perplexity is awesome. So there are honestly only two things that I think Perplexity really stands out in. Number one is research. So just so you guys know, Perplexity did not build its own foundational model like ChatGPT or like Anthropic with Claude. Like those companies are actually investing in training their massive, massive foundational models. What Perplexity does is it calls the API of, let's say, ChatGPT, and then it has a layer on. So let's say this is ChatGPT. Then it has a layer on top of ChatGPT that basically tries to analyze different sources. It tries to reduce hallucinations. So all of Perplexity's intellectual property is on top of the call to ChatGPT or whatever LLM you end up using. The reason why it's so awesome for research is because it does a really good job citing the source of its information. So if you're trying to research your competitors, you may run into issues where you get a lot of hallucinations, right, with ChatGPT or other models, and it literally just makes stuff up. It's like I tried this on myself. I was like, what is Blotato's revenue? And it just completely, like, ChatGPT just completely gave the wrong number so confidently. And I was like, wow, like if my competitors are doing this, they're gonna think like that's my revenue. This is great. They're all gonna have misinformation. But yeah, so like for real, hallucinations are a really big problem in ChatGPT and many other providers. Perplexity does a really good job with the research and like citing every single source so you can see it. One of my favorite features is called focus. But if you haven't used Perplexity, what you can do is it has a search bar just like ChatGPT. So just here, you put in your prompts, and then it has a bunch of like extra options below it. One of those options is called focus, and you can do things like focus on social media platforms. So if I'm doing a lot of research, for example, about customer pain points, I'll do focus Reddit and be like, what are people complaining about on the internet? Are they complaining about scheduling? Are they complaining about going viral on social media? Are they complaining about the algorithm? Like whatever it is, I use Perplexity, click focus, focus on Reddit, and it won't just search Reddit, it'll search Reddit and other social media platforms. So it gives me like a social listening tool completely for free instantly. You can also focus on academics. So let's say you're doing research for school, whatever, you can have it focus on academic articles, which is great as well. So that's one of my favorite features in Perplexity. Now, the second thing I'm going to talk about for Perplexity's strength, a lot of people do not know this, but for the longest time, and even in 2026, Perplexity's API has just been much more powerful to use than even ChatGPT or Gemini. Because there are so many things you could do with the API, like having it search different websites or prioritize websites and use ChatGPT on top of it. And so in my automations, like if I'm building an N8N or make.com, if I need an AI call that's also referencing a website, for example, I'll usually use Perplexity. Or if I'm doing an API call that involves a research step, like, hey, summarize this AI news, but also research more about it, fact check the information. For that kind of stuff, like I'm always using Perplexity. And it has pre-built nodes in N8N and make.com, right? So it's super, super easy to use. So those are the two strengths of Perplexity. And again, this is all in my opinion based on actually using this stuff. So number one is research, and number two is API usage. Honestly, for me, outside of those two use cases, I don't use Perplexity. It's not my go-to for use cases outside of research and API usage. Okay, let's talk about ChatGPT. Okay. Poor ChatGPT. I just made a video, I think it was yesterday, about why is everyone canceling ChatGPT? Okay, not everyone is canceling ChatGPT, but a lot of people are canceling it or seriously considering canceling it. And by the way, people ask me like, are you on the 200 per month ChatGPT plan? I have never been on the 200 per month ChatGPT plan. Most I've ever paid was $20 per month, like everybody else who's on a paid plan. Okay. So the strengths of ChatGPT, I would say number one is projects. This is something Gemini doesn't have yet. A lot of other tools don't really have projects the way ChatGPT has implemented it. And by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, projects are a way to organize your ChatGPT conversations. So for example, I'll have a project just on design, and it contains a bunch of conversations related to design work so that every time I start a new conversation in that project, it contains all of the context that we've already talked about regarding design. So this could be design principles, like you're Joni Ive, the best product designer in the world. Like I've had this exact conversation with ChatGPT. I have other projects on just like writing YouTube scripts. And those in those projects, I just have like tons of conversations and examples of writing viral YouTube scripts, and that's it. And it's really nice because everything's contextualized within that project. Yes, there are issues if your projects become like huge. It's obviously not going to be as great because there's just so much context in there. But this is a really, really compelling feature in ChatGPT. A lot of people love projects. I love organizing all of my convos and projects. It's hard to let that go. And unfortunately, until Gemini has something like this, it's hard to totally switch from ChatGPT. The second reason is I'll use a different color, is the GPT store. I'm actually going to use a larger thickness. Yeah. So I don't just mean building custom GPTs. Obviously, in Gemini, you can build gems to do that. In Claude, there's many options now. You could build skills, right, instead of a GPT. But the GPT store still has massive distribution. Like literally millions and millions of people are on this thing. So how I know that is because like I've just launched random GPTs and literally they have thousands and thousands of users with almost no promotion. Like maybe I made one TikTok video about Hormozy GPT, and it didn't go viral. It didn't like go explode or anything, and yet that GPT has thousands of users, and I have more than one GPT with like thousands and thousands of people using it. So the amount of distribution on the GPT store is still kind of unrivaled. You don't see that with Gemini Gems yet. You don't see that with Claude Skills either, because it's not really like a marketplace of skills where you can just grab other people's skills. And the reason why distribution is important is because I actually use some of these GPTs as a lead magnet. Okay, so if you open, for example, I have like a viral short form copywriting GPT. If you open that, it'll be like, hey, here are some examples. And then there'll be like a subtext here that contains a link to my product. It's like, hey, if you're interested in this GPT, since it's about copywriting and posting to social media, in case you want to like scale content creation, here's my product over here. So it's like free distribution to millions and millions and millions of people. People actually do search GPTs and use them. I can see usage stats. I can see thousands of conversations people are having with my GPTs, and then you can use them as a lead magnet. You can refer people, it's like to your product, website, whatever. So in my opinion, I've severely underutilized GPTs and the amounts of distribution on the GPT store. Like if I could just like clone myself, one of my other projects would be making a crap ton of GPTs, distributing them and using them as a funnel either to my own content and personal brand or to my product. Those are honestly like if I had to choose only two, if I had to reflect on the reasons why I haven't personally canceled my ChatGPT $20 per month subscription, these are probably the main reasons. So like projects and the GPT store. Okay, so that's ChatGPT. Let's talk about the next one. Ooh, okay. So let's talk about Grok. So a lot of people ask me, I don't talk about Grok that much. And it's probably not fair to Grok. Grok is actually great now. It can do a lot, and it's very unconstrained relative to the other models. And so I probably should talk more about Grok. The main reason I don't is because I just don't use Twitter. So I just like don't mentally ever go to Grok, and it reminds me of Twitter, which I don't like either. So I just don't use Grok. But yeah, to its credit, it's actually great now. The main use case for it, honestly, is if you want very little to no guardrails. So I'm not gonna judge you, whatever you're doing, that is sketchy. Like if you need an AI model that's is going to do what you say. Grok has, I'd say it doesn't have zero guardrails, but it has far fewer and looser guardrails than all of the other AI models on the list. So, but it's great for that. I mean, it does image generation. It does research. It's great. It pushes back. Like, I think Grok is actually great in 2026. So, but I would say the main use case for it is if you need far fewer constraints, whatever your use case is, Grok will generally be more amicable to whatever it is you're trying to do. Okay, so that's Grok. Okay. Okay, so the ones we haven't talked about are Gemini, Deepseek, ooh, and Claude. Okay. Ooh, yeah, I have a lot to say for sure for all three of these. Let's talk about Gemini first. So that's getting a lot of attention right now. Oh, let's just talk about Gemini somewhere over here. Okay. I will start this off by saying I think Gemini is the best all-rounder package in 2026. Even though I am quite bullish on Claude Code, I understand there's a lot of limitations with the Claude Code cheaper plans, right? Like I am paying $200 per month for Claude. Many people cannot afford that. They don't need that level. So if you're not at that level, you're going to frequently run into context window issues or running out of tokens with Claude Code. Whereas for Gemini, I honestly think like as a suite, it has so much in it. So it has Gemini itself, right? Like it's chat. It has Notebook LM, which is amazing. Also amazing for research. I would say Perplexity and Notebook LM are a little bit different. Like you would use Perplexity to find a bunch of sources that are relevant to what you're doing, and then you drop them all into Notebook LM, and then you can do things like make PowerPoint slides, make presentations, make infographics, make podcasts. Like it's crazy the amount of media you can make from Notebook LM. That it obviously also has VO3 and Nano, like honestly, so incredibly powerful. Like my most viral videos on long form YouTube recently are all using Nano Banana made thumbnails because I'm super lazy. And then VO3, obviously very powerful. VO3 Store 2 are both very powerful, but even in addition to this, then you have Google AI Studio, which I think is highly underrated. It's basically like their app builder. And then kind of within the same ecosystem is anti-gravity, right? And the cool thing about AI Studio, if you don't know this, is it has really easy integration with all the Google apps. So think about like Google Maps, Google Calendar, all of the stuff. If you want to vibe code apps and integrate the Google Suite, like AI Studio makes it way easier than if you were to use other vibe coding tools. And so that's already a huge plus. And then plus you get all of this other stuff. So like I like to say jokingly, but it's not a joke. Google is basically doing Microsoft's Monopoly playbook, and it's working. Like as consumers, we're like, yay, give us more free stuff. And there's like if you go to, I forget the name of the website, but there's like 30 other free AI tools that Google has released. I think it's labs.google.com. So labs google.com, and it's literally a directory of all of Google's free stuff that they're just trying to get everybody into their ecosystem and not somewhere else. Okay. So yeah, I have to say honestly in 2026, if you only have $20 per month to spend somewhere, Gemini, you're gonna be very happy, I will say, in the Gemini ecosystem. I mean, it has like literally everything that you might need. And so, yeah, so if you're looking for just that one to switch to, it would be Gemini. I rank it as the best all-rounder stack that you could invest $20 per month in. And they're constantly adding new stuff, right? Like VO3 is constantly improving. Anti-gravity just came out a month ago, and it's Chrome extension integration makes it super awesome for vibe coding, right? AI Studio, very underrated. They're continuing to improve it. I hope they keep making that better. Okay, what are the other two? Okay, so I think we only have two left to talk about. So yes, Claude and Deepseek. Okay, so I'll talk about Deepseek first because I guess I just have left less to say about it. But um, I will say Deepseek. I have a very personal, emotional relationship with Deepseek. Like, I don't know why. I don't know how they've achieved this, but it's like the only AI model that truly surprises me when it says stuff. When I use it for sparring, like I'll usually have multiple models at the same time. I'll almost always have DeepSeek. So when I say sparring, what I mean is I'll have three models open at the same time. So let's say that's this Claude, Gemini, and DeepSeek. And I might switch out these two, but I'll always have Deepseek as one of the sparring partners because it just always surprises me. Even when it was first released, I was like, oh wow, these responses are actually interesting. And so the use cases I use Deepseek for primarily tend to be like creative writing, brainstorming, planning, just getting ideas, pushing back, sparring because because I value that it surprises me. I value that it makes me think about something that I did not originally consider. I consider that very valuable, that a sparring partner can make me think about those new things. For example, a lot of you probably saw me on the Tony Robbins conference. Okay, that entire outline. So I didn't have like a memorized script. I just had an outline. That entire outline I did back and forth with Deepseek. Like literally, I was like, Deepseek, is this clear yet for a beginner? Is this the right transition? Is this the right level of abstraction? How do I like brag about myself, but not too long, but just enough so that people will like bother paying attention for the next 30 seconds? And it was back and forth all like for hours and hours just with Deepseek. And by the end of all of that, I was like, Deepseek, roast me. What would you grade my presentation? It gave me a B plus. Like, like, oh my gosh. I love DeepSeek. So I still use it to this day, but it is lacking a lot of ecosystem like features. Like if you compare what DeepSeek offers compared to everything we talked about for Notebook LLM for Gemini somewhere over here, I mean, it just doesn't even compare, to be honest with you, if you look at it from an ecosystem perspective. So I still love DeepSeek, but I have never paid for it. So just keep that in mind. I am on the $0 plan since the beginning of whenever DeepSeek was released. I've never paid for it. I don't think I would, to be honest with you. Again, like if you had limited funds or just limited bandwidth, you don't want to be split between like three different tools all the time, right? Again, I would say Gemini is the best all-rounder. Gemini also excels in, again, image and video generation with a combination of VO3 and Nano Banana. So that's another reason for Gemini. Okay, so the last one I'll talk about is Claude Code, or Claude. I always misspeak there. So a lot of people think I use Claude. I actually almost never use vanilla Claude, like on the website. I spend hours per day though in Claude Code, and they actually are different things. Like I don't know the secret algorithm. Okay, I cannot tell you the secret sauce between Claude Code and Claude on the website. All I know is that Claude Code, everyone on this call like needs to learn Claude Code in 2026. Honestly, like I feel bad I wasn't more bullish on it in 2025, even though 1 year ago, you can check my TikTok, I publicly announced I was dropping Cursor AI forever and moving to Claude Code. Now, I don't know if Claude Code will be the winner forever, especially if Gemini keeps improving their coding models. But that was 1 year ago. And since then, what's happened is like my usage of Claude Code has massively expanded. And I've noticed this with my developer friends, with other developers. Like if you just go on Twitter or Reddit, like people are really excited about Claude Code. So we all started with it for technical tasks. Like, so I use Claude Code to help me plan and code stuff in my existing complex code base. So that's this use case over here. And then now I'm using it for things like marketing. It's helping me do competitor research, helping me plan pricing, helping me analyze support tickets to plan my next features, prioritize my roadmap. I'm using it for SEO. Like I'm building an AI SEO agent completely in Claude to help automate that whole process of like creating SEO optimized blog posts related to my company. I'm using it for product design work, like front-end prototyping. I just did a session on this morning where I just asked Claude Code to like roast my front-end prototypes, and I get real-time feedback using it as my design partner. Other people are using Claude Code to like export data, integrate system, or build custom scripts to like import data between systems and things like that. Like our usage of Claude Code is just like way expanding beyond what it was named for. Like I think the name is so unfortunate because it's like it just scares non-technical people. But like coding now is just one thing I use Claude Code for, and now there's like a billion things you can use Claude Code for. For example, you can hook up Claude Code with your non-technical productivity tools. So think like Notion, think Gmail, think Airtable. You can even hook it up to your automation builder tools like N8N, even make.com. It's literally going to build automations like better than you can, like seriously, and faster than you can. Using MCP, you can hook it up to all of these tools, and you can say, "Hey, Claude Code, like I don't know, like summarize the data in this Airtable, send me an email about it, and also drop it into Notion for whatever reason." Whatever, just giving you an example, but like it'll just go and do that. Like just figures it out. Just figures out how to pull this from Airtable, how to write a Gmail, create a draft, and then how to push it to Notion as well. Like it just figures it out. So, in 2026, I think Claude Code, and again, I'm specifically talking about Claude Code, not like Claude, the web app. I think Claude Code is the platform to get work done. So if you are like tired of just prompting ChatGPT manually every single time, and you actually want AI to go and do stuff that's productive and just report back when it's done, that's Claude Code. It just does stuff, and obviously, like if you can clearly explain what it should do, and you give it access to the right tools and the right permissions, then it's going to be much more powerful and just much more accurate when it gives you work to review. But you can very much think of it as like a junior employee. Like you open Claude Code or a session or a terminal, and you're like, go do this. And then you open another session or terminal, and you're like, go do this other thing. And then you open a third one, and then you're like, go do this other thing. And then you just sit there and wait. Like ideally, you are focused on your most highest leverage task that Claude Code can't do. But in the meantime, you just wait for it to be done. And then you review the work or give it feedback to do it again, right? Like, this list isn't quite right. I want you to search for this instead. So you give it that feedback and then it tries again. And then you approve its work when it's done. So Claude Code is the closest thing I've experienced to like what people call an AI employee. Even though I've built automations in N8N, make.com, Zapier and stuff, it's never quite felt like this, where if I can clearly communicate what the task is and give Claude Code access to the tools it needs. By the way, if this sounds like I'm talking about an employee, it's because I am. Like if you just hired someone and you can clearly explain the task they have to do and you properly equip them with the tools that they need, then they should be able to go out and do it. And Claude Code is the closest that I've ever experienced that with. That's not to say it's perfect. So I spend a lot of my time basically in what's called an editor. So if you're not a coder, it's basically like a, I don't know, like a fancy Google Doc where you can like see some code. And then over here, I tell Claude Code what to do. I like this view. So I'll use like VS Code and it has a nice Claude Code extension. I like this view because it makes it easy to review the work from Claude Code. So if I'm like, Claude Code, write a blog post about this feature set, it like goes and does it. So if it wrote a blog post, I can just like look at it and I can select something. Let's say I want to revise this. I'm like, okay, Claude Code, like go revise this section. And like that interaction is it's like really insane, the types of things you can do. In fact, I feel like the bottleneck most of the time because I'm the one sitting there like reviewing all of its work to ensure quality. And yeah, just to set expectations, like yes, it can do a lot, but without you having some domain expertise in the problem you're trying to solve, like it's not going to get as far as you think. And so there's still a ton of value in improving yourself and your knowledge of the problem you're trying to solve, because then you can clearly articulate what you want Claude Code to do, and it's just going to perform better. It's going to give more accurate results. It's going to give you a more nuanced output. So like don't think of it like, oh, it's like a senior employee and they'll just like figure everything out. It's still really more like a junior employee where you have to be very, very, very clear what you want it to do, how you want it to do it, and make sure you give it the tools that it needs. Now, one trick with Claude Code, since somebody asked me this earlier, is like, how do you teach it over time? So what I like to do, like let's say I had a long Claude Code conversation and we got to a conclusion that we should have arrived to sooner. Like it really shouldn't have taken like an hour to get to this point. So at this point, what I'll do is say, hey, Claude Code, can you analyze everything we've talked about and extract like the key insights? This is supposed to be a light bulb. Extract the key insights that would have helped us arrive at this conclusion faster, and then add it to your Claude MD file or skill. If this is sounding technical, if you're not familiar with Claude Code, basically this just refers to like different instruction sets that you can give Claude. Claude could have a skill as like a designer, or it could be the skill of like a viral TikTok person who knows copywriting, right? So different skills, different files. But yeah, this is how I kind of build those skills organically. Like I have conversations about what I'm trying to do, and then I'm like, well, that took a long time. It seems like we could have gotten here sooner. Let's reflect on whatever we just talked about here and try to document what we've learned into our Claude MD file and skill. So then the next time I have a similar conversation, Claude can rely on the documentation from what we've learned in the past and do it better the next time. And it's actually really fun to do this because like you get to organically develop a skill for Claude that is like highly fine-tuned to your use case. It's not like someone else's skill for what they're trying to do. It's like specific to your company, your use case, what you're trying to do, your brand voice, etc. Okay, so yeah, I personally think Claude Code is the tool, the AI model or the AI tool to get work done. However, caveat here is I pay $200 per month. I personally have not run into any token limits or issues at the $200 per month plan. And most importantly, I'm very happy to pay $200 per month. Whereas if you were here earlier, I said ChatGPT, I have never paid $200 per month. They have never released something that makes me even want to pay $200 per month, but I happily pay $200 per month for Claude Code. In fact, I would pay even more if it worked faster. Like if I could jump the queues and like skip everybody else's processing and just like jump the line, I would pay more. And so like there's a massive opportunity to, if you are interested in learning this stuff and teaching other people how to use this stuff, there's just going to be massive demand for this in 2026, which is why I made another TikTok a couple days ago about how Claude Code's going to be a money printer if you learn it. Okay, so just to recap, so we talked about all of these models. So, okay, so I'll just recap. I guess I'll just pull it up here. Okay, so I'll just recap. So Perplexity, we talked about being really good for research and also its API. So if those are your two use cases, I think Perplexity is great. I'm not sure if I pay for it. I honestly don't remember. I might be on the $20 per month plan. Deepseek, great for like creative sparring, brainstorming, planning. I don't pay for it, so I use it completely for free. Grok is also great, especially if you need things that have fewer guardrails. So it is willing to do more things. Claude Code we just talked about. And again, just to distinguish, there's Claude, the web app, which I never use. I don't even use Claude Desktop. So I know there was like a Cowork announcement, but Claude Cowork is basically on top of Claude Desktop, which the last time I tried it, I ran into all kinds of limits, because especially if you're using MCP and tool calls, you max out the limits for each conversation really quickly. I don't know if they've changed that with Claude Cowork, but here I'm specifically talking about Claude Code, okay, not the website. ChatGPT, I am still paying for it, but really only because I have a bunch of projects in there and I have a bunch of GPTs that thousands of people use, and I just want to be able to maintain them and see the usage stats. And then Gemini, in my opinion, the best all-rounder $20 per month investments in 2026 because it just has like so much in its ecosystem and it's adding new stuff all the time. So forget where I drew it, but yeah. And when I say Gemini, I'm kind of including other things you get, right? So Notebook LM, like you could pay, you could actually just use Notebook LM for free, so you don't even have to pay for it. But AI Studio, VO3, and Nano within Gemini, it has gems. So if you're not familiar with Gemini, they're kind of like GPTs, but they don't have the distribution aspect of GPTs. But a gem, you can basically like train it to do one specific thing, just like a GPT, and it works well for that. The other thing I like about Gemini is like you can drop in a YouTube video and it'll get the full transcript. So, like the way Google is building its ecosystem, it's like its AI tools are going to have first class access to Google's ecosystem. So, for all of us who use Google's ecosystem, so think YouTube, Gmail, Calendar, like all the Google services you use, they're going to be like way better integrated into Gemini compared to other tools. And we're already seeing that with Gemini's integration with YouTube. Like you can literally drop 10 YouTube videos in Gemini, be like, analyze the transcripts and then create something out of it. Like you can't do that in ChatGPT today. And then even in AI Studio, it's already showing first class access to Google's ecosystem of apps, which is really important for vibe coding because like traditionally you'd have to build out each of these integrations, which you can do. Is just like a lot more work. Whereas in AI Studio, it's like a first class citizen. Like it's easy to just integrate Google Maps in 5 seconds in your vibe coded app. So yeah. Okay, cool. Well, hope you enjoyed it. Hope this was helpful.